Tough talk today, as I always do. Updates from Washington, D.C. I'm joined with a friend, a personal friend from Miami, the Israeli Consul General in Miami, my friend, Mayor Elbaz Storinsky. And we've got to know each other. We've hung
Yeah,
out together. We've sweated in the sun together.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and we certainly look like we could be brothers. But it's I I I don't even know how to begin speaking to you. You and I have had conversation, and you used the most appropriate words to say what had taken place in Israel, and to say there aren't words. There are not words in Hebrew, and there are not words in English, and I don't know that there are words in any other language. And so I'm going to stop there without a question and just say, can you just, I don't know what's on your heart or mind right in this moment, but whatever it is, just speak to us.
Thank you very much, Congressman Brian, my friend. And I have to admit, I've spoken to thousands of people in the past few days, and the love and care and sympathy that has been outpoured on us is very incredible. But it gives me special, I would say, brotherhood or camaraderie feeling to speak to you, because you have been there, you have seen it all, you have gone through it all. And if there is one person that I sure know how genuine, how true, how deep, how sincere his feelings and empathy and uh, and a sense of brotherhood with us in Israel, with us at the IDF, with us the Jewish community is you. So thank you very much for your time. I know you've had a busy day today in DC. Um, our heart is broken. We are devastated. There is no other way to describe it. We are the state of Israel. The state of Israel is much greater than anything that one can even start to comprehend. It's not only a physical state, successful, happy, prosperous country, but it is also a realization of a 2,000 year old dream of all the Jewish people. And after everything that the Jewish people have gone through to build our beautiful country in the state of Israel, the land of Israel was just a dream come true. And we have gone through terror, we have gone through wars, we live on our sword, we have a mighty military force, the IDF, but we never thought 75 years after our establishment, 78 years after the Holocaust ended, I don't know, 150 years after the last pogroms in 120 years in Eastern Europe, or we never thought that Jews, elderly, women, men, babies, whole families will be raided into her home. There will be a raid by Palestinian terrorists, by Hamas terrorists into their homes in the middle of the night. They would be burned to death. They would be raped. They would be mutilated. Babies are decapitated. They are herded on pickup trucks and taken elsewhere. It's mind blowing. This is a pogrom. This is a genocidal act. This is remind of Holocaust era. Hundreds of people are centered in are circled by terrorists who are shooting at them with machine guns. This is incomprehensible. I don't have the right English to describe it, nor do I have the right Hebrew to describe it. Where do we start? But I have to emphasize, this is just the beginning. We are at the beginning of a long, gruesome war that has to end with the complete elimination of Hamas. Sorry for being a bit emotional.
There is No apology needed. Is your family safe? Your extended family, to the extent that you can say they're always in harm's way over there, but are they? Is your
Let me try not to get too emotional. My brother, and that will give you a sense, or all our audience, your beautiful community, and give you a sense of how close our communities are. On Saturday night, of course, my brother was called. My brother is a fighter, is an officer in one of the elite units, commando units. And he, of course, was called. A couple of hours later, in a battle, the his comrade that they fought shoulder to shoulder was killed. And this comrade was one of 8 other comrades, or 9 other comrades, that died the same day in battle. But about this specific person, it turned out that his family lives in Florida, here in North Miami Beach, a couple of miles away. Not only that,
Here it is on the map.
not only that, Israel had called me that I had to go and notify the family of their bereaved, of the fallen son, that they become a bereaved family. So I went there on Sunday night after the holiday finished, and that's, maybe we should elaborate a little bit the magnitude of this attack. That it happened on a Shabbat, on a holiday, which is sacred for us. But I went there, and of course, in the, if not the most, then probably one of the most difficult moment in my life, I told the family that their son died in battle as a hero, and he fought next to my brother, who is still there in the front line. My nephew is there in the front line. Our families are in bomb shelter, because let us not forget that the Palestinians are targeting the civilian population. Not only did they kill 1,200 civilians, and counting. This is what we had retrieved so far. They are still shooting thousands of rockets at Israel. They've been shooting that for the past 20 years, thousands of rockets. We're talking about 3,000-4,000 rockets a day, still targeting civilian population, not only around Gaza, but all the way to Tel Aviv, and even northern of Tel Aviv, central of Israel, Jerusalem. So the rest of my family has been in the shelters for the past few days. This is not normal. This is not right. This should be clear to everybody that they should step up against it, because it makes no sense.
Sure, things that anybody that's a part of the military knows what that's like, to see a coalition of people show up on the front doorstep when you have family in harm's way. The family knows of that risk, and even if you haven't been through it, if you look out the window and you see this coalition of people, maybe it's a rabbi there, maybe it's some other spouse that's there, it's friends, it's people that you know, it's yourself in an official position. You have an idea of what's going on, and to be frank, unfortunately, this is probably not going to be the last time that you have to do that. That is the nature of the excruciatingness of urban warfare that Israel has to undertake to eliminate this cancer that has been allowed to fester. And in that, just if you can, how many more lone soldiers, as we would call them, people that, how connected is our community of Florida with the amount of lone soldiers that we may have over there in harm's way? Americans that are also Jewish, that have a birthright citizenship, and that are over there serving.
I can tell you that, first of all, and I truly believe that the state of Florida is Israel's best friend, not only in the U.S., in the world. and in actions, in deeds, not only in words, not only in "we support you," which we highly appreciate and we highly cherish this kind of statement. Don't get me wrong. A tweet or a statement with somebody or an organization or a person means a lot to us. But in deeds, in terms of supplies, in terms of legislation, sanctions on Iran, and this is something that we have to talk about, the Iran involved in the leadership of these terroristic actions against Israel, protection of Jewish communities and allowing Jewish culture and education to thrive, support of Holocaust survivors, etc., etc. And of course, in this time of stress, of disaster, of dire situation, it is overwhelming how the community have come together. Not only the Jewish community, the community at large. We are, I mean, you, other elected officials, just communities are praying, are collecting supplies, are sending money for military needs, money for rehabilitation of those affected, civilians, schools, hospitals, psychological therapy for kids, etc., etc., etc. And one of really the remarkable examples of connection between the state of Florida to Israel is the number of soldiers who have enlisted, lone soldiers who are now reservists, and they don't have to go back to the war, but they have enlisted and literally fought over places on flights to go back to Israel to join the military. We're talking about hundreds. We're talking about hundreds that sometimes paid money if we couldn't get them help, but mostly we got them help. And from within 1 day or within 2 days, we're ready to be deployed in their units in Israel. And this thing is still going on, by the way. We still see dozens of people from all around the world. We're talking about all around the world. In the US, about thousands, but hundreds from here that have stood up, packed one duffel bag or one trolley and got a flight to Israel, because they know that if you don't join the forces of good, then evil is doomed to get you wherever you are.
That's right. It's one of my favorite words. One word I always remember from my time there, Achim, brothers.
Achim.
You know,
you're right.
We're brothers.
You're right. And I think if I may, you have earned that, Achim. You have earned that, Achim. We are brothers. And by the way, you can see one of the things that keeps us, maybe makes us unique as people, but certainly as country, what has kept us together and unique as people for 2,000 years of exile is this sense of connection, is this sense of responsibility for our future while carrying our past. And people here, Americans, and I'm sworn my phone is, I'm bombarded with requests to go and join the military, because this brotherhood, and despite the political conflict that we saw, or dispute that we saw was so dominant in Israel in the past few months, now in this time of disaster, there's no right or left. There is no religious or secular. There are Israelis, there are Jews, and everybody reported to protect this wonderful, maybe a miracle, which is called the State of Israel.
Let me try to understand a couple of ways to help over there. There are different lanes. I have my role as a U.S. representative, of which I will.
And that's an extremely important role, and you know that we've spoken about it a number of times. Just recently, we spoke about other things. Your role is, and your specific, the way you perform this role is highly, highly appreciated and cherished.
And this is one of those moments among many that I will remember specifically, where I am called on in that role in a very specific moment in life to recognize the gravity of the situation, and all of Congress needs to recognize the gravity of this situation, and to bring it back to what you mentioned, probably easily hundreds of just Floridians that are literally on the ground there as lone soldiers. Is that something that, there should be more of, whether they're in Miami or Palm Beach Gardens or Jacksonville or somewhere else in Florida, that it's not too late for them to be a part of literal service and make their way over there? Understanding the nature of military, people are not trained, they haven't gone through military basic training, things like that. Is that even an option for young people in Florida to say, I want to start that process right now?
Well, first of all, I want to go one step back, and I think that I didn't commend enough your role or your performance as a congressman when it comes to taking care or looking after Israel. And the importance of other Congress people doing the same. And it's not only Iron Dome or the military aid, the $3.8 billion a year. Everybody probably know about it, and that's extremely important and appreciated. But may I remind you, Brian, just a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we spoke about Palestinian terrorism, how we deal with Palestinian terrorism, and how the Congress has new tools or legislation in place to make sure that the Palestinian terrorism is taken care of. And now it's like they heard us. It's like almost a prophecy, knowing that the acute problem of the Palestinian terrorism, and now this brought the conflict or the whole maybe definition of terrorism to the next level. So first of all, thank you for your commitment. The second thing is we have to remember that Israel is a very, very powerful country. We have many questions about what had happened. How could it have happened with all our intelligence and all our security forces and that are in place? But this question will be answered in due time, and repercussions will be made, and steps will be taken, and we will mend everything, because this is how we improve. We are not there yet. We are in the midst or in the beginning of a war, a gruesome war, and now we need to store our agony somewhere, our pain, and go to war. Now we have hundreds of thousands of soldiers who have enlisted. And if there is one thing that we've always said, we will never ask Americans to fight for us. Never. If somebody has an experience with the IDF, all kind of partnership programs, somebody is making an international program with the IDF, of course we have this, but Israel has a very, very powerful military with reservists and others duties that will take care and perform all the tasks that are needed. We, of course, one of the options that are given mainly Jews in outside of Israel is to do all kinds of programs in the military, but I don't think there is a need now for youngsters to rush and draft to the military. But by the way, there are many other ways to support. If somebody wants to go to Israel and support, work with children, volunteer at hospitals, in all kind of civilian organization. Listen, we're talking about millions of people are affected. The problem is not only at the front line with Gaza. Let's let the professional soldiers or military take care of that menace. But we're talking about hospitals under fire, kindergarten and school that are closed because you can't open, and kids are at home under a deep psychological deep psychological consequences. There are all kinds of ways to volunteers to support work over here within the Jewish federations, who are very, very active on sending support to Israel. So there are many ways to support the state of Israel and the Israeli society, not only military wise.
I've seen it in a number of ways already. I have friends, Lewis, Fred, Tila, others. They've been working to send helmets, body armor, supplies, you name it over there. And if any point throughout this, I know you have a great deal to do. And so you just tell me when it is that you have to go. But if at any point throughout this, there's something that you want to say, this is a great place for people that want to have that physical touch of helping, please think about supporting this. You should,
Yeah,
let people know what that
I'll tell
is.
you, Brian, and that's off the top of my head, and I'm sure some organization will be displeased with me for not mentioning them, but just from the top of my head, there is the FIDF, Friends of the IDF, who are doing incredible work with the IDF, and there's something that I want to mention over here when I talk about the IDF. The IDF is the Israeli Defense Force. And that's not only, it carries a message. The IDF was established to defend Israel, not to attack other countries, not to conquer other countries, not to expand, not even to give security. We do not call it. Sometimes there are all kind of other names. This is Israel Defense Force. The Israel Defense Force. That's why we're not attacking unless we need preemptive strikes, like in 1967. Israel is defending itself from the enemies, and it will continue to defend itself. But FIDF, the federations are doing incredible work. I mean, you have a federation around you. They have their all kind of projects that are doing with Israel. WITSO, MDA, United Hatzalah. Really, I'm afraid from all those who will be upset with me for not mentioning them, but I'm sorry, it's in the conversation. So, what can
No,
I do?
but in that fight, the people are supporting for a reason, because I think a lot in America, because of the 24-hour news coverage, are getting a good recognition of what it looks like, in part, why there is a wall, why there is a fence, the purpose of these tunnels, the population in Gaza, the hatred that exists in Gaza, those that call themselves allies to essentially Hamas and Hezbollah and Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and whatever name of hatred it is that they go by. In whatever time we have remaining, can you tell us a little bit about where the fight takes us?
Well, first of all, you hit the nail on the head. You touched almost all the affiliates of Iran, and Iran should not be left out of this conversation. Iran is the engine of all this havoc that is happening, not only in the Middle East, but in the world, rather. Their long arms are reaching Yemen and Iraq and Syria and Lebanon and Venezuela, and of course Ukraine, and the war with Russia, and of course into Israel through Hezbollah, through Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. As long as we not we will never do that, but as long as the international community leaves Iran off the hook of their responsibilities for these atrocities that are done in their name, with their funding, under their direction, there can be no peace or quiet in the Middle East or elsewhere. It's okay, we deal with
Iran
the
is
nuclear.
the engine. You said it right.
Iran is
Iran is
the
the engine.
engine. Iran is the heart. Iran is the head of the snake. Do I need any other analogies to describe what happens if we remove this thing from this equation? The car will not go. The snake will not live. It's as simple as that. We will have other challenges. We've had other challenges, but Iran brings it to a whole different level. And Iran is the center of this all, the epicenter of this whole menace of terrorism in the Middle East. Now, as long as they continue, even if and I hope we will eliminate Hamas completely, Iran will continue to fund Hezbollah. Iran will continue to fund other terroristic organizations. They, of course, carry no accountability to what they're doing, because they managed to play it out with their involvement in various ways in either conflicts or the way they control the oil market, or they affect the oil market, etc., etc., etc. But it is time that the whole world takes a firm stand against Iran, against its nuclear program, which will even makes it worse, because if they ever become nuclear, then the whole terroristic activities and involvement will not be, they will have no limits whatsoever, because they will feel immune.
Iran, that engine, and again, it's important for everybody to know that engine supplies funding, supplies intelligence, supplies fighters. You talk about, never letting them have a bomb, of which you and I couldn't be more closely tied in that. But it's not just that. It's not just a bomb. It's fissile material that could lead to what people know as a dirty bomb, and making an area unpassable or unusable because of the radiological hazard that's presented there. It's their network to go through various countries to get the ordnance that they're constantly lobbing or firing into Israel, into the Gaza Strip. These are not new tentacles, and beyond that, I can't put myself in their war room, but we know that this is a well-planned, well-orchestrated attack. And you have to believe that in that attack, somebody brought up the idea, well, if we're doing it at this time, at this event, in this concert that draws people from around the globe, well, what if there's Americans there? What if there's Europeans there? What if there's people from Asia there? What if there's people from wherever there? Not just Israelis and Jews. I'm sure somebody brought that up, and I could, if I could put myself in the room, I could guarantee that the answer was probably good. And
Yeah,
that
certainly, certainly. These people have no respect whatsoever to the values that we uphold so dear. I can't even call them human beings. It's completely, it's monstrous. It's completely a fight between good and ultimate evil, between darkness and light. And we've been saying for years, for as long as I'm in the foreign ministry, almost 20 years and before, Iran is not only Israel's problem. Iran's nuclear program, but not only Iran's nuclear program, but their malignant activities across the world. It's not only Israel's problem. It is true Israel is in the front line, and it is true, and maybe now more than ever, that Israel's war is, we fight for you, and we fight for Europe, and whatever we suffer, you would have suffered, because they would have gotten to you, and you did have your share in the agony of fighting terrorism. And we've been saying all along, when Iran has missiles, these missiles can be used against Europe. When Iran has drones, these drones that are now being used on European soils to kill Europeans. And these terrorists, they've been active all over the world. We know that, and they destabilize regimes, and they wreak havoc all over the world. So it is very, very important to have a consolidated, firm, and unconditional stand against Iran, against Hamas, and give Israel all the resources, political support, supplies, intelligence that is needed to make sure that we manage to carry this task of eliminating Hamas.
And you've been so gracious with your time. I'll give you the last word in just one moment to tell, whatever the final message is that you want to say to Americans in this moment of time. But just to say again, our hearts are with you. You've opened your heart, with us, and our hearts are with you. We know you have friends, family. That's an understatement to say that you have friends and family that are there and that are affected by this. But your message to Florida, to our community, to friends, family, of which you've been such a welcomed part of.
Thank you, Mark Congressman. I can't even begin to describe the pain that we are going through. And this pain will probably never go away. These images that are going through social media, this footage, is just horrifying. And I urge you, don't watch the social media. Take your kids off the social media. It has destabilized me in the past few days, and it will destabilize you as well. But you do need to understand who are we dealing with. We are not dealing with regular enemies. We have dealt with Palestinians, we have dealt with terrorism, we know disputes, we know conflict, we know disagreements, we know criticism, and we have dealt with it pretty well. This is a totally different thing that has brought this conflict to a totally different level, and it is clear more than ever that there should be no compromise with these monsters. This fight needs to end in one way only, and that's the complete destruction of the Hamas infrastructure in the Gaza Strip, and we need all the support that is possible. And your support is extremely important, and keep it going. I mean, it's going to be long. I mean, don't exhaust all your support now. We will need it in a week, or we need it in 2 weeks, and we will need it in months after this war is over, regardless of the result. When the war is over, building the lives in southern Israel after such a trauma, a national trauma, a personal trauma, that will take years, if not forever. And we need you, and we want you. We want the partnership with you. We want the relationship with you. We appreciate your support. Thank you. The consulate is open for any engagement, and Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yvarech et amo b'shalom. The God, Lord, will protect us and will bless us and will lead us to peace. What can I
Mayor
say?
Elbaz Storinsky, my friend, Consul General to Israel in Miami. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. I know I'll speak to you, and
Yeah, you will.
I'll look
Thank
forward
you
to
very
seeing
much.
you another day, my friend.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.